before the sun rises, before the jungle fully wakes. Listen, a deep call echoes through the trees, rolling across stone and shadow. The air is warm, heavy, alive, somewhere beyond the darkness. A great city waits. You're not watching history. You are waking up inside it. Beneath your feet, white stone paths lead toward towering pyramids. Above you, stars still burn bright, guiding the rhythm of time. This is a world shaped by gods, sustained by ritual, and lived by people who believe it will last forever. There are no clocks here, only the movement of the heavens, only the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And as the morning star fades, your day begins. This is what it was like to live in an ancient Maya city. The howler monkeys wake you before dawn. Their roars echo through the jungle canopy like the voices of ancient gods. A sound so deep and resonant, it seems to shake the very ground beneath your sleeping mat. You open your eyes in the darkness of your home. A single-room dwelling with walls of limestone and mud plaster. Its thatched roof woven so tightly that even the heaviest rains barely penetrate. The air is thick and humid, already warm even before the sun has risen. This is your world, a great Maya city in the heart of the lowland jungle. Somewhere in what will one day be called Guatemala or Mexico or Belize, during the height of Maya civilization around 700 AD, in what we call the Classic period. But you don't think of it as Maya civilization. You don't call yourself Maya. That's a word that won't be used this way for another 1,000 years. You are a person of this city, perhaps Tikal or Calakmul, Palenque or Copan, one of the great urban centers that dominate the landscape. Your identity is tied to this place, to its ruling dynasty, to its patron gods. You are Keval, a Jaw subject of the divine lord who rules. From the great pyramid temple at the city's heart, your world extends as far as the farmlands that feed the city, as far as the satellite communities that owe allegiance to your king, and probably not much further. The world is your city and the jungle that surrounds it, the sacred mountains where the gods dwell, and the endless cycles of time that govern all existence. As you lie in your mat, you can already hear the city stirring. Somewhere nearby, a woman is grinding maize on a stone metate, the rhythmic scraping sound that is the heartbeat of Maya life. The kernels were soaked in lime water overnight, a process that will later be called nixtamalization. They have no special word for it because it's simply how maize is prepared, how it's always been prepared. This process does something crucial that you don't fully understand. It releases nutrients in the corn, particularly niacin, preventing the deficiency diseases that plague societies that eat unprocessed maize. It also makes the corn easier to grind and gives it that distinctive flavor that will characterize Mesoamerican cuisine for millennia. You rise and step outside into the pre-dawn darkness. The air is alive with sound, insects chirping, birds beginning their morning calls, the distant sound of water being drawn from a cistern. Above you, if you look up through the gaps in the jungle canopy, you can see stars, not the dim, scattered points of light that people in the future will see through their light-polluted skies, but brilliant, countless stars spreading across the heavens in a river of light. These stars are not merely beautiful. They are essential. They are the writing of the gods, the celestial realm where divine forces play out dramas that directly affect life here on Earth. Your city is arranged according to sacred principles, aligned with the cosmos itself. The Great Plaza at its center is not just a gathering place, but a representation of the primordial sea from which the world emerged. The pyramids are not merely monuments, but sacred mountains, artificial recreations of the peaks where sky meets earth, where gods can descend and humans can ascend. The ball court where the sacred game is played represents the entrance to Xibalba, the underworld where the hero twins defeated the lords of death in a mythic time before this world began. Every structure, every plaza, every sack of the white limestone road that connects important buildings has meaning, purpose, sacred significance. As dawn approaches, you make your way toward the central plaza. The path takes you past houses similar to your own, though some are larger and built on stone platforms, indicating higher status. The city is not a chaotic sprawl, but an organized landscape of neighborhoods and districts. the houses of nobles, priests, and administrators cluster near the ceremonial center. Further out are the homes of craftspeople, potters, weavers, stone carvers, feather workers. Beyond them are the dwellings of farmers who work the fields that surround the city. And scattered throughout are the markets, workshops, and communal spaces that make up urban life. The population of your city might be 50,000 people, perhaps more. Some of the greatest Maya cities house populations that rival or exceed the largest cities in Europe at the same moment in history. This is no primitive village, but a sophisticated urban civilization with complex social hierarchies, specialized labor, monumental architecture, advanced astronomy and mathematics, a fully developed writing system, and an artistic tradition of stunning beauty and complexity. You live in one of the most advanced civilizations on Earth, though you would never think of it in those terms. You simply live in the world as it is, as it has always been, as the gods ordained it when they created this current age of the world. The sky is beginning to lighten now, turning from black to deep blue. Venus, the morning star, blazes above the eastern horizon. This is Keowil, one of the most important celestial gods, whose movements are carefully tracked by the priests and recorded in the sacred books. The appearance of Venus at certain times and in certain positions is deeply significant, often determining when wars should be fought, when kings should be crowned, when important rituals must be performed. You've been told since childhood that time moves in cycles, that everything that happens has happened before and will happen again. The priests can read these cycles, can predict eclipses and planetary conjunctions with stunning accuracy, can calculate dates thousands of years in the past or future using their sophisticated long count calendar. As you reach the central plaza, you stop and stare, as you do almost every morning, at the sight before you. Massive pyramids rise against the lightning sky. Their limestone surfaces covered in plaster and painted in brilliant colors: red, blue, green, yellow. At the top of the largest pyramid sits a temple, its roof cone elaborately carved and painted, rising toward the heavens like a mountain reaching for the sky. In the growing light, you can see the carved, steely tall stone monuments that stand in the plaza, covered in intricate hieroglyphic inscriptions recording the deeds of kings, the dates of important events, the names of gods and ancestors. These monuments tell your city's history, a history that stretches back hundreds of years. They speak of kings whose names you know as your own, great warriors who conquered rival cities, wise rulers who built temples and made alliances with the gods, divine lords whose bloodlines connect them to the gods themselves. The current king, the Kuul Ajah, is descended from these legendary figures. His blood is sacred, carrying the essence of divinity. When he lets blood in rituals, piercing his tongue or penis with stingray spines, his blood becomes a conduit between the mortal and divine worlds, allowing him to communicate with the gods and ancestors. But you are not of royal blood. You are one of the common people, perhaps a farmer who works in the maize fields beyond the city, or a craftsperson who makes pottery or weaves cotton cloth, or a laborer who helps maintain massive water management systems that keep the city alive. In a land where water can be scarce, your life is governed by rhythms, the agricultural cycle, the ritual calendar, the demands of the nobles you serve. You work hard, you participate in communal labor projects, you attend the great public ceremonies, you make offerings to the gods, you raise your children to honor the traditions, and you hope to live a good life and perhaps avoid the worst, punishments in the afterlife. The sun is rising now, burning away the morning mist, illuminating the painted pyramids in golden light. The howler monkeys have fallen silent. The city is fully awake. Another day begins in your Mia world, a day that will be filled with work and ritual, with the constant awareness of the sacred forces that govern existence, with life lived in the shadow of the gods and the ancestors, in a civilization that has endured for centuries and seems as eternal as the jungle itself. But we, looking back from the future, know something you cannot know. This civilization is approaching its peak. Within a century or two, something will go terribly wrong. The great cities will be abandoned. The plazas will fall silent. The jungle will reclaim the pyramids. The classic Maya collapse is coming, though you living in this golden age cannot imagine such a catastrophe. For now, your world seems strong, vital, eternal. For now, you are living in one of humanity's great civilizations at its height. So let us spend this day with you, experiencing what life is actually like in a Maya city. Let us see what you eat, how you work, what you believe, how you worship, what you fear, what you hope. Let us understand the Maya world not from ruins and artifacts, but from the inside, through the eyes of someone who actually lives this life, who knows no other world, who cannot imagine that everything they know will one day be lost to the jungle and to time. The day has begun. Let us follow you through it and discover what it truly means to live in a Maya city at the height of one of the ancient world's most remarkable civilizations. The sun climbs higher, and with it comes the heat. By mid-morning, the temperature is already oppressive, the humidity turning the air into something almost tangible, something you breathe as much as move through. But there is work to be done, and work in the Maya world is not merely labor, it is obligation. Duty, a fundamental part of the cosmic order. Everyone has their place, their role to play in maintaining the delicate balance between humans, nature, and the gods. If you are a farmer, which most people are, your work begins early and ends late. You leave the city, walking along raised causeways through areas that during the rainy season become swamps, heading toward your milpa, your maize field. The agricultural system that feeds the Maya cities is sophisticated and varied, adapted to the challenging environment of the tropical lowlands. There is no single method, but rather a range of techniques. Slash and burn agriculture in areas of secondary forest, raised fields and wetlands, terracing on hillsides, forest gardens near homes, and intensive cultivation in the most productive areas. Your primary crop is maize, which is not just food but the substance of life itself. According to the Popol Vuh, the sacred book of creation, humans are made of maize. The gods tried several times to create people, first from mud, then from wood, but these attempts failed. Finally, they created humans from maize dough. And these maize people were successful. You are literally made of what you eat. Every tortilla, every tamale, every cup of atoll, the corn gruel is not merely nourishment, but a reaffirmation of your essential nature of participation in the sacred. But maize alone cannot sustain life, and you know this through generations of accumulated agricultural wisdom. Your milpa is not a monoculture, but a polyculture, a carefully managed ecosystem. Among the maize stalks grow beans, which climb the corn plants as natural trellises and, though you don't understand the biochemistry, fix nitrogen in the soil, replenishing what the maize depletes. Squash spreads along the ground between the plants, its broad leaves shading the soil, retaining moisture, preventing weed growth. This combination, maize, beans, and squash, will later be called the Three Sisters by other indigenous peoples. A perfectly balanced nutritional system that provides carbohydrates, proteins, and vitamins. But your milpa contains much more than just these three crops. There are chili peppers adding vital nutrients and flavor to your diet. Amaranth provides protein-rich seeds. Avocados, papayas, and other fruit trees grow at the edges of the field. Cotton plants provide fiber for weaving. Cacao trees, in the right conditions, produce the precious beans that are used both as currency and to make the sacred chocolate drink reserved for nobles and special occasions. The milpa is not just a field, but a managed forest, a human-created ecosystem that mimics the diversity of the jungle while producing the food that feeds the cities. The work is hard, physical, unrelenting. You clear land using stone axes. The steel tools that would make this work easier still unknown in the Americas. You plant by hand using a digging stick to make holes for seeds. You weed constantly, fighting the jungle's eternal attempt to reclaim cultivated land. You watch the sky anxiously, praying to Chak, the rain god, for the right amount of rain at the right times. Too little and the crops wither. Too much and they rot. The timing must be perfect, and you have no control over it. Only prayers and rituals and hope. The agricultural calendar governs your life. The year is divided not by our 12 months, but by the 260-day sacred calendar. The Sok and the 365-day solar calendar, the Haba. These calendars intermesh like gears, creating a 52-year cycle called the calendar round. Every day has a name, a number, a character, an energy. Some days are auspicious for planting, others for harvesting, still others for making offerings. The priests know these things, have recorded them in the sacred books, can tell you when to plant based on calculations that go back centuries. If you're not a farmer, you might be one of the many specialized, crafts people who make the goods necessary for Maya life. Perhaps you are a potter, shaping clay vessels on a turntable, not a true potter's wheel, which hasn't been invented here, but a spinning platform that makes the work easier. The pottery you create is not merely functional, but beautiful, often decorated with complex designs, geometric patterns, images of gods, seen from mythology, hieroglyphic texts. Some vessels are for everyday use: cooking pots, water jars, storage containers. Others are ritual objects: incense burners shaped like gods, plates for offerings, cylinder vases for drinking chocolate. Or perhaps you are a weaver, working at a backstrap loom attached to a tree, creating cotton cloth of extraordinary complexity. The elite wear elaborately decorated fabrics with patterns woven in, dyed with colors extracted from plants and insects: indigo for blue, cochineal for red, various plants for yellows and browns. The most precious color is blue-green, a color of water, of jade, of the sacred. Hours of work go into a single garment, and the finest pieces are worth enormous sums. Given as gifts between kings, used as tribute, treasured as heirlooms. If you are a stone carver, your work is perhaps the most prestigious of all the crafts. You shape limestone with tools of harder stone, creating the monuments that will immortalize kings and gods. You carve the intricate hieroglyphic texts that record history, astronomy, ritual. You shape jade into precious ornaments, beads, ear spools, pectorals that mark the wearer's high status. Jade is more valuable than gold here. It is the color of growing maize, of water, of life itself. A jade bead placed in the mouth of a dead noble will serve as their heart in the afterlife. The work is hard, physical, unrelenting. You clear land using stone axes. The steel tools that would make this work easier still unknown in the Americas. You plant by hand using a digging stick to make holes for seeds. You weed constantly, fighting the jungle's eternal attempt to reclaim cultivated land. You watch the sky anxiously, praying to Chak, the rain god, for the right amount of rain at the right times. Too little and the crops wither. Too much and they rot. The timing must be perfect, and you have no control over it. Only prayers and rituals and hope. The agricultural calendar governs your life. The year is divided not by our 12 months, but by the 260-day sacred calendar. The Sok and the 365-day solar calendar, the Haba. These calendars intermesh like gears, creating a 52-year cycle called the calendar round. Every day has a name, a number, a character, an energy. Some days are auspicious for planting, others for harvesting, still others for making offerings. The priests know these things, have recorded them in the sacred books, can tell you when to plant based on calculations that go back centuries. If you're not a farmer, you might be one of the many specialized, craftspeople who make the goods necessary for Maya life. Perhaps you are a potter, shaping clay vessels on a turntable, not a true potter's wheel, which hasn't been invented here, but a spinning platform that makes the work easier. The pottery you create is not merely functional, but beautiful, often decorated with complex designs, geometric patterns, images of gods, seen from mythology, hieroglyphic texts. Some vessels are for everyday use: cooking pots, water jars, storage containers. Others are ritual objects: incense burners shaped like gods, plates for offerings, cylinder vases for drinking chocolate. Or perhaps you are a weaver, working at a backstrap loom attached to a tree, creating cotton cloth of extraordinary complexity. The elite wear elaborately decorated fabrics with patterns woven in, dyed with colors extracted from plants and insects, indigo for blue, cochineal for red, various plants for yellows and browns. The most precious color is blue-green, a color of water, of jade, of the sacred. Hours of work go into a single garment, and the finest pieces are worth enormous sums. Given as gifts between kings, used as tribute, treasured as heirlooms. If you are a stone carver, your work is perhaps the most prestigious of all the crafts. You shape limestone with tools of harder stone, creating the monuments that will immortalize kings and gods. You carve the intricate hieroglyphic texts that record history, astronomy, ritual. You shape jade into precious ornaments, beads, ear spools, pectorals that mark the wearer's high status. Jade is more valuable than gold here. It is the color of growing maize, of water, of life itself. A jade bead placed in the mouth of a dead noble will serve as their heart in the afterlife. The market is where all these products come together. In the great plaza or in designated market areas, people gather to trade. There is no money as we understand it, no coins, no paper currency. Instead, trade is conducted through barter and through the use of cacao beans as a standard of value. A rabbit might be worth 10 cacao beans, a slave worth 100. Jade, obsidian, colorful feathers, cotton cloth, salt, and other precious goods flow through these markets, arriving via trade routes that connect the Maya world to distant lands. The market is not just an economic institution, but a social one. This is where you hear news, gossip, rumors. A merchant who has traveled from a distant city brings tales of events in other kingdoms. A new king crowned, a war fought, a great ritual performed. You learn that the city of Tikal has defeated Kalakmal, or that eclipse was successfully predicted by the priests of Copen. The Maya world is not isolated, but interconnected, bound together by trade routes, diplomatic missions, marriage alliances, and sometimes warfare. Obsidian, the volcanic glass used for cutting tools and weapons. Komis from the highlands, traveling hundreds of miles along trade routes. Salt comes from coastal regions. Jade comes from specific riverbeds in the mountains. Quetzal feathers, the long green tail feathers prized above almost all other goods, come from the cloud forests. The vibrant red feathers of the scarlet macaw are traded across vast distances. These luxury goods flow toward the cities, toward the nobles who can afford them, while basic goods, maize beans, pottery, cloth circulate more locally. By noon, the heat is overwhelming. This is not a time for heavy work, but for rest, for seeking shade, for eating the day's main meal. You return to your home or find a shaded spot in the plaza. The food is simple but nourishing. Tortillas made from the maize your wife or mother ground this morning. Beans flavored with chili peppers. Perhaps some greens gathered from the forest. Fruit when it's in season. If you're fortunate, there might be some meat turkey. Dog, deer, fish, or small game. Though meat is not a daily food for common people, but rather a treat reserved for special occasions. The drink is water or a toll, the thin corn gruel that provides energy and nutrition. Only nobles drink chocolate regularly, preparing it as a frothy, bitter beverage mixed with chili peppers, vanilla, or other flavorings, served in elaborate painted cylinder vases. You've tasted it only a few times, at special festivals when the nobles distribute it to the crowd. It is delicious and energizing, but also sacred, associated with the gods, with ritual, with power. After eating, if there's time, you might rest in a hammock, not the cotton hammocks that will become famous later, but a simple slung mat or blanket. The heat makes sleep difficult, but even a short rest restores energy for the afternoon's work. Around you, the city hums with life. Children play games in the plaza. Dog small, hairless breeds kept for food wander looking for scraps. Women chat while spinning cotton or preparing food. Old men sit in the shade telling stories, passing down knowledge and tradition to anyone who will listen. This is your work life, the daily round of labor that sustains existence. It is hard, demanding, often tedious, but it is also embedded in a rich cultural context. You are not merely working to survive. You are fulfilling your role in the cosmic order, doing your part to maintain the balance between earth and sky. Between humans and gods, your labor feeds the city, which houses the temples, which maintain contact with the divine, which ensures the continuation of the world itself. As afternoon approaches and the worst heat begins to subside, you prepare to return to work. There are still hours of daylight left, still tasks to complete. The maize needs tending, the pots need firing, the cloth needs weaving, the stones need carving. The work is never truly done in a world without machines, without electricity, without any of the labor-saving devices that future generations will take for granted. Everything must be done by hand, by human muscle and sweat and endurance. But you do not think of your life as hard or deprived. This is simply life as you know it, as your parents knew it, as your grandparents knew it. You have food, shelter, family, community. You live in a great city blessed by the gods. You participate in rituals that maintain cosmic order. You are part of something larger than yourself, a civilization, a tradition, a way of life that has endured for centuries and will, you assume, endure for centuries more. The sun moves across the sky, marking time's passage. The work continues. This is the Maya world at its most basic level. People working, creating, sustaining life, maintaining civilization through the accumulation of countless small efforts. Without this daily labor, the great pyramids would mean nothing. The divine kings would have no subjects to rule. The gods would have no humans to worship them. Everything rests on this foundation of work, of human effort transforming nature into culture, wild jungle into cultivated fields and cities. And as the afternoon lengthens toward evening, as the heat finally begins to subside, you can feel satisfaction in the day's labor. You have done your part. You have fulfilled your obligations. You have helped maintain the world. Tomorrow you will do it again. And the day after that, and the day after that, in an endless cycle as reliable as the seasons, as constant as the movements of the stars. As evening approaches, the character of the city changes. The heat lessens, the light turns golden, and the focus shifts from work to ritual, from the practical to the sacred. This is when you are most aware that you live not just in a city, but in a sacred landscape, a place where the boundaries between mortal and divine are thin, where gods can manifest, where humans can transcend their ordinary existence and touch the eternal. The temple pyramids that dominate the cityscape are not merely impressive architecture. They are literally mountains, artificial recreations of the sacred peaks where the first gods performed the rituals that created the world. When you look at them, you see Wits, the living mountain, the place where sky and earth meet. The doorway to the temple at the summit is often carved to resemble the mouth of a monster, the entrance to the other world. When the king enters that temple, he is descending into the earth, into Xibalba, the underworld, and simultaneously ascending into the sky, into the celestial realm. He stands at the axis mundi, the center of the cosmos, the point where all levels of reality intersect. Tonight there will be a ceremony. Word has spread through the city. The king will perform a bloodletting ritual, making offerings to the gods and ancestors to ensure the continued fertility of the land, the success of the upcoming harvest, the prosperity of the kingdom. As darkness falls, you join the crowd gathering in the great plaza. Thousands of people are here. Nobles in their elaborate costumes and towering headdresses made of quetzal feathers. Commoners like yourself in simpler cotton garments. The air is thick with copal incense, its sweet smoke rising toward the stars. Torches illuminate the scene with flickering light. Drums begin to beat, a deep rhythmic pulse that seems to synchronize with your heartbeat. Flutes and rattles join in, creating music that is both hypnotic and unsettling. The priests appear, wearing masks representing various gods, their bodies painted, their movements ritualized. They ascend the pyramid steps in a solemn procession, each step carefully choreographed, each gesture laden with meaning. Then the king appears, even from your position in the crowd, far from the pyramid's base. His presence is overwhelming. He wears a massive headdress of jade shell and quetzal feathers that rises several feet above his head. His clothing is intricately woven and decorated. His jewelry jade pectorals, ear spools, bracelets catches the torchlight. His face is painted with symbols of power and divinity. He is not merely a political leader, but a living embodiment of the divine. A mediator between worlds, the person whose actions maintain cosmic order. The king ascends the pyramid slowly, dramatically. With each step, he transforms from man to God, or rather, he reveals the divine nature that was always present in his sacred blood. At the summit, barely visible to you down in the plaza, he performs the bloodletting ritual. You cannot see the details, but you know what is happening because you have witnessed it before. Because it is fundamental to Maya religion, because this is how the world is maintained. The king takes a stingray, spine or an obsidian blade, and pierces his flesh, his tongue, his ears, his penis. The pain must be excruciating, but the king shows no sign of it. He is in a state of ritual transformation, moved beyond ordinary human sensation. His blood drips onto paper made from bark, which will later be burned, the smoke carrying his sacrifice to the gods. This is not mere symbolism. The Maya believe that blood is the most precious substance, containing the essence of life itself. Royal blood, carrying the divine essence inherited from the gods, is especially powerful. By shedding his blood, the king is literally giving part of himself to sustain the gods, just as the gods gave their blood to create humanity. As the blood flows, the boundary between worlds becomes permeable. The king may experience visions. He might see the vision serpent, a supernatural creature that emerges from the blood and smoke, carrying messages from the ancestors of the gods. Through the serpent's mouth, the spirits of dead kings may appear, offering counsel and blessing. The king is communicating with powers beyond the mortal realm, powers that can ensure rain for the crops, victory in war, prosperity for the kingdom. The ceremony continues for hours. There are dances, ritual performances, enacting mythological events. Captives from recent wars might be brought forward and sacrificed, their hearts removed while still beating, offered to the gods on the altar at the pyramid summit. This might seem horrific to future people, but to you it makes perfect sense. The gods sacrificed themselves to create humanity in the world. They shed their blood so that life could exist. Humans must reciprocate, must give back blood to sustain the gods and maintain cosmic balance. The greatest gift one can give is life itself, and the sacrifice of captives fulfills this cosmic debt. You watch all of this with a mixture of awe, fear, and devotion. The torchlight casts giant shadows on the pyramid sides. The music and chanting create an otherworldly atmosphere. The smoke of burning incense and sacrificial blood creates a haze through which everything seems transformed, sacred, charged with supernatural power. You feel insignificant, but also connected to something vast and eternal. You are participating, even as a spectator, in rituals that have been performed for generations, that connect you to the ancestors, to the gods, to the fundamental forces that govern existence. The religious worldview that structures your life is complex and sophisticated. The cosmos has multiple levels, the celestial realm above, divided into 13 layers, each associated with specific gods and celestial bodies. The earthly realm, where you live, and an underworld, Xibalba, with its 9 layers, home of the death gods and other supernatural beings. These realms are not separate, but interpenetrating. Gods can descend to earth, humans can ascend to the sky or descend to the underworld, at least in vision or after death. Time itself is divine and cyclical. The calendars are not mere measuring systems, but records of divine energies. Each day is a living entity with its own character, its own god, its own energy. Some days are favorable for certain activities, others are dangerous. Your name likely incorporates the day of your birth, marking you with that day's energy for life. The priest can calculate time far into the past and future, creating dates that reach back to the creation of the current world. August 11th, 3114 BC, in our calendar and forward to distant future ages. These calculations are recorded on monuments and books, and the sacred knowledge passed down through generations of priests. The gods themselves are numerous and complex. There is Itzamna, the creator deity, lord of the sky. There is Kenichijal, the sun god, who each night must battle the forces of the underworld to rise again each dawn. There is Chak, the rain god, whose lightning and thunder bring the life-giving water the crops need. There is the maize god, beautiful and youthful, who dies and is reborn in an eternal cycle that mirrors the agricultural year. There are the hero twins, Hanapu and Spalink, who defeated the lords of death and ascended to the sky to become the sun and moon. Each god has multiple aspects, multiple manifestations, associations with colors, directions, animals, plants. The underworld gods are particularly terrifying. The lords of Xibalba, with names like One Death and Seven Death, rule the realm of the dead, inflicting suffering and testing the souls who journey there. According to the sacred stories, when someone dies, they must make a dangerous journey through Xibalba, facing trials and challenges. Only the most worthy great kings, sacrificial victims, women who die in childbirth can hope to reach paradise. Most souls face a grim existence in the cold, dark underworld. This belief system shapes everything about how you live. You make offerings, constantly small gifts of incense, food, flowers to household shrines, to shrines in the fields, to the great temples. Every activity has its patron god, its appropriate ritual. Before planting, you make offerings to the earth and rain gods. Before hunting, you ask permission from the forest deities. Before starting any important task, you check the sacred calendar to ensure the day is auspicious. The natural world is alive with spiritual power. Caves are entrances to the underworld and must be approached with caution and proper ritual. Cenotes, the natural sinkholes that provide water in this limestone. Landscape are portals to the aquatic underworld, home of the rain gods, and precious items are often thrown into them as offerings. Mountains are the dwelling places of powerful spirits. The great ceiba tree is the world tree, its roots reaching into the underworld, its trunk spanning the earthly realm, its branches touching the sky, connecting all levels of the cosmos. Animals too have spiritual significance. The jaguar is associated with kingship, warfare, and the night sun that travels through the underworld. The quetzal bird, with its brilliant green feathers, is sacred and its feathers are reserved for royalty. The serpent appears in countless forms as the vision serpent, as the feathered serpent deity, as a symbol of water and fertility. Even the turkey, raised for food, has mythological associations and must be treated with proper respect. As the night ceremony concludes, as the king descends from the pyramid, as the crowd begins to disperse, you feel the weight of living in a world saturated with the sacred. There is no separation between religion and ordinary life. No secular sphere where you can escape divine presence. Everything you do, from planting a seed to eating a meal to speaking a word, exists within a religious framework. The gods are watching. The ancestors are present. The cosmic forces are always in play. You make your way home through darkened streets, past shadowed pyramids that loom against the star-filled sky. The ceremony has reminded you of your place in the cosmic order, of the obligations you owe to the gods, of the fragility of existence. The world must be constantly renewed through ritual, through sacrifice, through proper observance of the sacred calendar. If these rituals cease, if the blood stops flowing, if the gods are forgotten, then the world itself might end, as it has ended before in previous creations, as it might end again if humanity fails in its divine obligations. This is the spiritual reality of Maya life, not a quaint collection, of beliefs but a comprehensive worldview that explains everything, that gives meaning to suffering, that connects you to powers beyond yourself, that promises that if you fulfill your obligations, if you participate in the rituals, if you honor the gods and ancestors, then life will continue. The rains will come, the crops will grow, and the world will endure for another cycle of time. The morning after the great ceremony, the city buzzes with anticipation. Today there will be a ball game, not a casual sport for entertainment, but a sacred ritual contest that reenacts the cosmic struggle between life and death, light and darkness, order and chaos. The ball court sits in a central location in the city, a long alley flanked by sloped stone walls. Its playing surface carefully plastered and maintained. This is not merely an athletic venue, but a sacred space, representing the entrance to Xibalba, the underworld, where the hero twins played, against the lords of death in mythic time before this world was created. You join the crowd gathering around the ball court. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of people are here. Nobles occupying the best vantage points. Commoners like yourself finding spots wherever you can get a view. The atmosphere is electric with excitement and religious awe. The game you're about to witness is deadly serious, literally. The stakes could not be higher. The losing team, or at least its captain, may face sacrifice after the game concludes. This is not a punishment, but an honor, a chance to follow in the footsteps of the hero twins, to journey to Xibalba and potentially transcend death itself. The players emerge and the crowd roars. They are magnificent specimens, athletic, powerful. Their bodies painted and adorned with protective padding made of cotton and leather. They wear heavy belts or yokes around their waists, knee and elbow pads, and sometimes helmets. These are not mere protective gear, but ritual items, often elaborately decorated, sometimes even incorporating human skulls or skull imagery. The game will be brutal, physically demanding in ways that are difficult for modern observers to fully comprehend. The ball itself is sacred and dangerous, made of solid rubber material native to Mesoamerica and unknown in the rest of the world. At this time it weighs several pounds and is hard enough to cause serious injury or even death. The rubber is harvested from trees, processed in a way that makes it bouncy and resilient. A ball like this, struck with great force by a player's hip or thigh, can travel at tremendous speed. Players have been killed by being struck in the head or chest. The game is literally life and death even before we consider the ritual sacrifice that may follow. The rules, as you understand them from watching many games, are complex. The players must keep the ball in motion without using their hands or feet. They use their hips, thighs, shoulders, and head. They must get the ball through stone rings mounted high on the walls, or, depending on the specific variation being played, into end zones at either end of the court. Points are scored and lost based on where the ball lands, whether it touches the ground too many times, whether it goes out of bounds. The game requires extraordinary skill, incredible physical conditioning, and the ability to work seamlessly with teammates. But this is not just about athleticism. The game reenacts cosmic events. The ball represents the sun, journeying across the sky and through the underworld. The playing court is the portal to Xibalba. The teams represent opposing cosmic forces day and night, life and death, chaos and order. When you watch the game, you're watching creation itself being replayed, watching the eternal struggle that maintains the universe in motion. The hero twins defeated the Death Lords through skill and cunning. But the victory is never final. The game must be played again and again. The struggle perpetually renewed. The game begins with explosive energy. The ball is put into play, and immediately the court becomes a space of controlled violence. Players crash into each other and into the walls. The ball ricochets at impossible angles. The crowd roars with each dramatic play. You find yourself shouting, swept up in the excitement, watching athletes perform feats that seem almost superhuman. A player launches himself through the air, striking the ball with his hip, sending it flying toward the stone ring. It misses by inches, and half the crowd groans while the other half cheers. The game continues for what might be hours. There's no clock, no predetermined duration. The game ends when one team achieves victory according to whatever specific rules are governing this particular match. The players are exhausted, bruised, bleeding. Their padding is soaked with sweat. Some can barely stand. But they continue, driven by honor, by religious duty, by the knowledge that they're participating in something far greater than sport. Finally, a player manages to get the ball through one of the stone rings, an incredibly difficult feat that may happen only rarely. The crowd explodes. The game is over. The winning team celebrates, but their celebration is muted, respectful. They know what comes next. The losing captain steps forward with dignity. There's no shame in his loss. He has played well, has honored the gods through his effort. Now he will honor them through his death. The sacrifice is not carried out immediately in the ball court itself, though it might be. Sometimes The losing captain is taken to the top of a nearby pyramid temple. You cannot see the exact details from where you stand, but you know what happens. The priests perform rituals, say prayers, prepare the captive. Then, with a razor-sharp obsidian blade, they open his chest and remove his still beating heart, holding it up toward the sky as an offering to the gods. The body is treated with respect. It may be buried beneath the ball court itself, becoming a permanent part of the sacred space, or it may be given other honors, appropriate to a sacrificial victim. This might seem horrific to people from other times and places, but to you it makes perfect sense within your worldview. The losing captain hasn't been murdered, he's been elevated. He has been chosen by the gods through the mechanism of the game. His death reenacts the journey of the hero twins, who descended to Xibalba and through cunning and courage defeated death itself. The sacrificial victim follows that same path, and if he faces death with courage and dignity, he may achieve a blessed afterlife, ascending to paradise rather than languishing in the cold darkness of the underworld. The ball game also serves important social and political functions. Games are often played between rival cities, with political implications riding on the outcome. A city that consistently wins ball games demonstrates divine favor, proving that its king and gods are powerful. Captives from wars are sometimes forced to play against their captors, with their inevitable defeat and sacrifice, serving to humiliate the enemy and demonstrate the victor's superiority. The game is thus simultaneously sport, ritual political theater, and cosmic reenactment, a perfect example of how in the Maya world, nothing is just one thing. Everything has multiple levels of meaning. As the crowd disperses after the game, people discuss what they've witnessed. Was it a good game? Did the players show proper skill and courage? What does the outcome mean for the city's fortunes? The gods have spoken through the ball game, and people will interpret the result, looking for omens and significance. Perhaps the winning team represented the sun and life, and their victory means a good harvest. Or perhaps the losing team's sacrifice was especially pleasing to the gods, ensuring continued divine favor. You return to your daily activities, but the game stays with you. You've witnessed something profound, something that connects you to the deepest myths and beliefs of your culture. The ball court will be quiet until the next game, but it remains a charged space, sacred ground where the boundaries between worlds grow thin, where humans can touch the divine, where life and death dance their eternal dance. The ball game is just one of many ways that the Maya world maintains cosmic balance through ritual. There are ceremonies for every season, every important life transition, every significant event. When a child is born, there are naming ceremonies tied to the calendar. When nobles marry, there are elaborate rituals establishing alliances and invoking divine blessing. When a king dies, the funeral ceremonies are staggeringly complex, ensuring that the deceased ruler can successfully navigate the underworld, and that his successor is properly installed with divine sanction. War itself is ritualized. Battles are often scheduled for auspicious days in the calendar. Warriors dress in elaborate costumes, representing gods or mythological figures. The goal is often not to kill enemies, but to capture them alive for later sacrifice. A great warrior is measured not by how many he kills, but by how many high-status captives he takes. These captives will be brought back to the city, kept prisoner for a time, then sacrificed in public ceremonies that demonstrate the captor's prowess and the city's power. Even death and burial are elaborate rituals. Commoners might be buried beneath the floors of their houses, kept close to the family. Their graves marked with offerings of pottery, food, and personal items they'll need in the afterlife. Nobles are buried in tomb chambers, often within or beneath pyramid temples, surrounded by wealth-jade jewelry, painted pottery, beautiful textiles, and sometimes sacrificed servants who will accompany them into death. The tombs are sealed but not. Forgotten descendants will make offerings at the tomb, communicating with the dead ancestor, asking for intercession with the gods. This ritual saturation of life means that you are never simply living, you are always participating in something larger, something cosmic. There are no meaningless actions, no purely secular moments. Even eating a tortilla is a sacred act. consuming the substance of which humans are made, the gift of the maize god. Even walking along a road connects you to the sacred landscape, moving through a world shaped by divine forces and human ritual. The architecture of the city reinforces this constant awareness of the sacred. You cannot walk through the plaza without seeing the pyramid, temples rising toward the sky. You cannot draw water without visiting the sacred cenote. You cannot attend the market without passing carved monuments recording the deeds of divine kings and the will of the gods. The city is a physical embodiment of Maya cosmology, a three-dimensional map of the universe, a space designed to facilitate contact between the human and divine realms. As evening falls after the ball game, as you prepare your evening meal, as you settle in for the night, you reflect on what you've witnessed today. The game, the sacrifice, the crowd's energy, the player's courage, all of it reinforces your understanding of the world. Life and death are intertwined. The gods require blood to sustain the cosmos. Humans must fulfill their obligations or risk cosmic catastrophe. But there's also beauty in this system, meaning, purpose. You are not a random collection of atoms in an indifferent universe. You are part of a grand cosmic drama, a player in a story that began at creation and will continue until this age of the world ends and the gods create something new. This is what it means to live in a Maya city, to exist in a world completely integrated, where every action has meaning, where the sacred and profane are inseparable, where the cosmic and the personal are intimately connected. It is a worldview that will seem alien to many future peoples, but it works for you, giving structure and meaning to existence, connecting you to something eternal even as you live your short mortal life. Dawn breaks on another day, and you are reminded once again that you live in a profoundly hierarchical society. From your modest home, you can see in the distance the elaborate palace complex where the king resides, and the contrast between your life and his could not be more stark. Maya society is organized like a pyramid, with the divine king at the apex, descended from the gods themselves, and countless commoners like you at the base, supporting the entire structure through your labor. The king, the Kewal Jah, the divine lord, is not merely a political leader, but a living embodiment of divine power. His bloodline traces back to the gods, and his blood carries the essence of divinity. When he cuts himself in bloodletting rituals, when he communicates with ancestors, when he performs ceremonies, he is not acting as a representative of the gods, but as a conduit of divine power itself. His body is sacred. His words carry divine authority. His decisions are, in a very real sense, the will of the gods made manifest on earth. The king lives in a world utterly different from yours. His palace is a complex of multiple buildings surrounding courtyards, rooms decorated with murals showing scenes of warfare, ritual and daily court life. The walls are plastered and painted in brilliant colors. The doorways are decorated with carved lintels showing the king performing, rituals or receiving tribute. The rooms contain luxury goods gathered from across the Maya world and beyond. Jade jewelry, obsidian mirrors, jaguar pelts, exotic feathers, cacao, cotton textiles so fine they feel like silk, pottery painted by master artisans, musical instruments, carved wooden furniture inlaid with precious materials. The king's daily life is a constant performance of ritual and power. He rises before dawn and performs private devotions, making offerings to the gods and ancestors. He is dressed by attendants in elaborate clothing, a loincloth of the finest cotton, elaborately woven and decorated, sandals adorned with jade and shell, a jade pectoral, massive ear spools that stretch his earlobes, jade bracelets and anklets, a belt supporting a ceremonial loincloth. His face is painted with symbols of power. His teeth are inlaid with jade. His head is deliberately deformed from infancy flattened and elongated by binding boards to his skull as a baby, creating a profile considered most beautiful and noble. But the most impressive part of his costume is the headdress, towering several feet above his head. It's constructed of wood, leather, cloth, and decorated with the long green tail feathers of the quetzal bird, the most precious feathers in the Maya world. The headdress might also incorporate jade elements, carved wood, and representations of gods. When the king moves, The feathers sway and shimmer, catching the light, announcing his presence. The headdress is so heavy that the king cannot wear it for extended periods. It's a costume for public appearances, for ceremonies, for occasions when he must embody divine majesty. The king's day is filled with audiences, rituals, administrative decisions, and diplomatic meetings. Nobles approach with petitions, tribute, news from distant regions. The king must adjudicate disputes, though for common people like you, justice is usually administered by lower officials. He receives envoys from other cities, conducting the complex diplomacy that maintains alliances and manages rivalries. War decisions are made in council, with the king consulting, priests about auspicious days, and generals about military strategy. But the king is not alone at the top of society. Surrounding him is a nobility, a hereditary aristocracy that fills crucial roles in government, religion, and military affairs. These nobles live in stone houses built on platforms, much grander than your simple thatched dwelling, but far less elaborate than the royal palace. They wear fine cotton clothing, jade jewelry, and elaborate hairstyles or head wrappings. They are educated, literate. They can read and write the hieroglyphic script, a skill that is closely guarded and limited to the elite. They know astronomy, mathematics, history, mythology. They are the administrators, priests, generals, diplomats, and royal advisors who make the government function. The priesthood forms a separate but overlapping hierarchy. Priests are often members of noble families, sometimes even members of the royal family. They undergo years of training, learning the complex calendar systems, the methods of astronomical observation, the proper performance of rituals, the interpretation of signs and omens. The high priests are among the most powerful people in the city, second only to the king himself, and sometimes advising or influencing royal decisions through their supposed ability to read divine, well, in the stars and calendars. Below the nobility are the commoners, farmers, craftspeople, laborers, the vast majority of the population. But even among commoners, there are distinctions. Skilled artisans have higher status than simple farmers. Free commoners have better lives than slaves, though slavery in the Maya world is not quite like slavery in later American society. Slaves are often war captives or criminals, used as laborers or sacrificial victims, but their children might not be automatically enslaved. There are gradations within each class, creating a society of carefully calibrated hierarchies. At the bottom are the true slaves and the destitute, those who have lost everything, who own nothing, who survive on the margins of society. They do the hardest, dirtiest work. They have no voice in civic affairs, no chance of advancement, no hope of anything but survival. Yet even they participate in the major religious festivals, receiving distributions of food and drink, witnessing the great rituals, included at least minimally in the community. The social hierarchy is maintained through multiple mechanisms. Sumptuary laws dictate what different classes can wear. Only nobles can wear jade, certain colors of cloth, quetzal feathers. Only the king can wear the full regalia of divinity. Common people who try to dress above their station risk punishment. The architecture itself enforces hierarchy. Commoners cannot enter certain sacred spaces, cannot climb the pyramids except during specific public ceremonies, must approach nobles with deference and proper ritual etiquette. Education is highly restricted. While everyone learns the practical skills of their trade farming, weaving, pottery from family and community, formal education in reading, writing, mathematics, astronomy, and history is limited to the elite. The hieroglyphic script is complex, with hundreds of signs, and learning it requires years of study under master scribes. Books, made from bark paper and folded into accordion-pleated codices, are rare and precious. They contain astronomical tables, ritual calendars, historical records, mythological texts, but they're kept in temples and noble houses, not available to the general population. This restriction of literacy has profound effects. History, as recorded in hieroglyphic texts on monuments and in books, is elite history. It records the deeds of kings, wars between dynasties, royal rituals, but rarely mentions common people at all. You and everyone you know live lives that will never be recorded, never be remembered beyond oral tradition, never be carved into stone or painted in books. You exist in historical silence, your life and death unmarked except perhaps by your descendants' memories. The economic system reinforces social hierarchy. Tribute flows upward from commoners to nobles to the king. You produce surplus crops, and a portion must be given as tribute. Craftspeople create goods that nobles claim. The wealth concentrates at the top, allowing the elite to live in luxury while commoners live much more simply. But this isn't seen as exploitation, or at least not primarily. It's understood as a natural order, the way the cosmos is organized. Just as the gods require offerings from humans, so too do the divine kings and nobles require tribute from their subjects. The king, in return, provides certain things. He maintains order, administers justice, leads in war to protect the city from enemies, and most importantly, performs the rituals that maintain cosmic balance and ensure the gods' favor. In a real sense, the king works for you as much as you work for him. His blood sacrifices sustain the universe. His communication with gods and ancestors protects the community. His proper performance of calendar rituals ensures rain for the crops. Without him, the cosmic order would collapse. This is not mere propaganda, you genuinely believe it. You've seen the rituals, witnessed the king's power, watched as eclipses were accurately predicted, seen rain come after drought when the proper ceremonies were performed. The system works from your perspective. The hierarchies are justified by results. The divine kings deliver divine favor. And in return, they deserve your labor, your loyalty, your reverence. Yet there must be tensions, even if they're rarely expressed openly. A farmer working in the hot sun to produce surplus crops that nobles will consume might occasionally feel resentment. A talented craftsperson born into a common family might wish for opportunities to advance. A younger son of a minor noble family with no chance of inheriting significant wealth or position might chafe at the restrictions, but these tensions are managed through ideology, through the constant reinforcement of hierarchical norms, through the belief that this is simply how the world is, how the gods ordained it. The system also allows some limited mobility. A particularly talented warrior might be elevated for his valor. A craftsperson whose work impresses nobles might receive royal patronage. A woman from a minor noble family might marry into a more powerful one, raising her status and that of her children. These opportunities are rare but exist, giving people hope that effort and talent might be rewarded. As evening approaches and you return to your home after another day of labor, you pass nobles being carried in litters, their way cleared by attendants, common people like yourself stepping aside respectfully. You see the palace glowing in the distance, torches illuminating its courtyards, the king inside performing evening rituals that will protect the city through the night. You feel the weight of hierarchy, the knowledge of your place in the cosmic and social order. But you also feel part of something larger than yourself. You are not just an isolated individual struggling to survive. You are a member of a great city, a subject of a divine king, a participant in a civilization that has endured for centuries. Your labor has meaning beyond mere survival. You are helping to maintain cosmic order, feeding the system that feeds the gods, playing your part in the grand drama of existence. And in that there is dignity, purpose, identity. This is life in the Maya world, hierarchical, structured with little chance of social mobility, but also integrated, meaningful, connected to the sacred. You know your place, and that place, however humble, is part of something eternal. It is now perhaps 800 AD, and though you don't know it, you're living near the peak of Maya civilization and on the edge of catastrophe. The city seems as strong as ever. The pyramids still cower over the jungle. The king still performs his rituals. The markets still bustle with trade. The ball courts still host their deadly games. Yet there are signs, subtle at first, that something is wrong. You notice them in small ways, accumulating details that don't quite fit the narrative of eternal civilization. you've been taught since childhood. The population of your city has been growing for generations. More people means more mouths to feed, but there's a limit to how much food can be produced from the surrounding land. The milpa system that has sustained the Maya for centuries requires leaving. Fields fallow periodically to restore fertility. But with population pressure increasing, fields are being replanted too soon, before the soil has fully recovered. Yields are declining. It takes more work to produce the same amount of food. You notice that harvests aren't as abundant as they once were. That hunger is becoming more common, especially toward the end of the dry season, before new crops come in. The forests around the city are receding. For generations, trees have been cut for construction, for firewood to clear land for agriculture. The great temples require massive wooden beams, and these come from the largest trees in the forest. The lime plaster that covers every important building requires enormous amounts of fuel to produce. Limestone must be heated to high temperatures to create quicklime, and this process consumes vast quantities of wood. Slowly, almost imperceptibly over generations, the forest is being pushed back, and with it goes the game animals that once supplemented the diet, the wild plants that provided medicines and materials, the tree species that have spiritual significance. Water is becoming a problem. The Maya cities are built in areas without rivers, relying instead on collecting rainwater in reservoirs and cisterns, on accessing groundwater through natural cenotes, on elaborate hydraulic systems that channel and store every drop of rain. These systems have worked for centuries, but they're showing strain. Some reservoirs are silting up, their capacity reduced. In dry years, water levels drop dangerously low. You hear stories of other cities where water shortages have become critical, where people are rationing strictly, where the lack of water has led to conflict and suffering. The climate itself seems to be changing, though of course you have no concept of climate in the modern sense. You just know that the rains seem less reliable than the stories your grandparents told. Some years bring drought, crops fail, people go hungry. Other years bring too much rain, flooding fields, rotting stored grain, bringing disease. The delicate balance that has sustained Maya agriculture for so long is becoming unstable. The priests perform ever more elaborate rain ceremonies, make ever more blood sacrifices. But Chak, the rain god, seems capricious, unreliable. War is intensifying. The competition between great cities has always been part of Maya political life, but it's becoming more destructive. Where once wars were, ritualized affairs fought mainly to capture high-status prisoners for sacrifice. Now they're becoming more brutal, more total. Cities are being attacked and burned. Trade routes are being disrupted. Refugees from defeated cities appear, seeking shelter, adding to population pressures. The wars are fought over increasingly scarce resources, fertile land, reliable water sources, control of trade routes. The old patterns of alliance and rivalry are breaking down, replaced by more desperate struggles for survival. The elite seem increasingly disconnected from the struggles of common people. The nobles still live in luxury, still demand tribute, still stage elaborate ceremonies and build ever more ambitious monuments. But there's a sense that the system is becoming top-heavy, that too many resources are flowing upward while not enough comes back down. You've heard whispers, dangerous whispers that people speak only in private, questioning whether the divine kings are really maintaining cosmic order. If they are, why are the rains failing? Why are crops declining? Why is life getting harder? The trade networks that have connected the Maya world are beginning to fray. Exotic goods that once flowed into the city from distant regions are becoming scarce. Obsidian, jade, salt, cacao, the luxury items, and essential trade goods are harder to obtain. Some trade routes have been disrupted by warfare. Others have been abandoned as cities decline or collapse. The economic integration that characterized the Maya world at its peak is breaking down into smaller, more localized systems. Disease is more common in crowded urban conditions. Without modern sanitation or medical knowledge, disease spreads easily. Malnutrition, caused by declining food production, weakens immune systems, making people more vulnerable. You've seen more sick people, more deaths, especially among children and the elderly. The healers do what they can with their herbal medicines and rituals, but they're increasingly overwhelmed. Some cities have already been abandoned. You've heard stories from travelers, merchants, refugee sailors of once great cities now silent. Their plazas empty, their temples unattended, their populations dispersed into the jungle. The reasons vary. Some cities were defeated in war and never recovered. Others simply couldn't sustain their populations and were gradually abandoned as people moved away in search of better conditions. The network of cities that once defined the Maya world is developing gaps, holes where thriving urban centers once stood. Yet, despite all these warning signs, life continues. The rituals are performed, the calendar is kept, the monuments are carved, the system persists through sheer momentum, through the weight of tradition, through the inability of anyone to imagine an alternative. You go about your daily work, attending ceremonies, paying tribute, raising your children to honor the old ways. What else can you do? This is the only world you know. The crisis, when it comes, won't be sudden or dramatic, not in most places. There won't be a single catastrophic moment when everything collapses. Instead, it will be a gradual decline, a slow hollowing out. Fewer crops, less food, more hunger. More people leaving, seeking better conditions elsewhere. Fewer resources to maintain the great buildings and water systems. Eventually, a tipping point where the city can no longer sustain its population, where the complex systems that make urban life possible simply stop functioning. Some scholars in the distant future will call this the classic Maya collapse, though that term suggests something more sudden and complete than the reality. What happens is that the lowland Maya cities, one by one, are abandoned. The population disperses, moving to the highlands or to coastal areas, breaking down into smaller communities. The great pyramid temples are left to the jungle, which quickly reclaims them. Within a few generations, the cities are overgrown, forgotten, their plazas filled with trees, their monuments covered in vines and moss. But you don't know any of this yet. You're living just before or during the early stages of the collapse, when the problems are visible but not yet critical, when the system is straining but not yet broken. You might spend your entire life without seeing the final catastrophe, dying while the city still functions, still hoping that the next harvest will be better, that the rains will return, that the gods will restore the old prosperity. The causes of the collapse are complex, multiple, interconnected, not so, different from the fall of the Western Roman Empire that happened a few centuries earlier on the other side of the Atlantic. Environmental degradation from deforestation and soil erosion. Climate change bringing droughts. Population pressure exceeding the land's carrying capacity. Political instability and destructive warfare. Social dysfunction as the elite become disconnected from the masses. Economic disruption as trade networks break down. Each problem makes the others worse, creating a cascade of failures that no single solution can address. Could it have been prevented? Perhaps if the population had been kept smaller, if the forest had been managed more sustainably, if water systems had been better maintained, if the warfare had been less destructive, if the elite had been more responsive to growing problems. But the Maya had no concept of sustainability in the modern sense, no understanding of ecological limits, no framework for thinking about long-term environmental management. They did what made sense to them. They grew their cities, built their monuments, performed their rituals, and hoped the gods would provide. As darkness falls on another day in your city, as you settle in for the night, you don't know that you're living through a critical moment in history. You don't know that within a few generations, your great city will be silent, abandoned, reclaimed by jungle. You don't know that the civilization that seems so permanent, so eternal, is actually fragile, dependent on balances that are already tipping out of equilibrium. You only know that life seems harder than it once was, that the stories your grandparents told of abundance seem like tales of a different world. But you persevere because what else can you do? You honor the gods, perform the rituals, do your work, raise your family, and hope that things will get better. that the Divine King's blood sacrifices will restore cosmic balance, that the next cycle of time will bring renewal. This is what it's like to live through the twilight of a civilization, to be surrounded by signs of decline that you can see but not fully understand. To continue following traditions even as they cease to work, to maintain faith in systems that are failing. Because the alternative, admitting that everything you've known and believed might be wrong, is simply too terrifying to contemplate. The jungle has reclaimed the city. Centuries have passed since the plazas fell silent, since the last king performed his final bloodletting ritual, since the last ball game was played. The Great Pyramids are covered in trees, their carved facades hidden beneath centuries of growth. The palaces are ruins, their rooms filled with debris, their painted murals faded and crumbling. The reservoirs have silted up, becoming swamps. The sacks, the great white roads, are cracked and broken, barely visible beneath the forest floor. Howler monkeys roar from the pyramid tops. Jaguars prowl through what were once ceremonial plazas, and colorful parrots nest in the ruins of buildings that once housed divine kings. But the Maya people have not disappeared. The collapse of the great cities was not the end of the Maya. It was a transformation. The descendants of the people who built Tikal and Calakmul, Copan and Palenque, still live throughout the Maya region. They speak languages descended from the same linguistic family. They farm using techniques refined over millennia. They maintain traditions, stories, and beliefs that connect them to their ancestors. The civilization transformed, adapted, continued in new forms. When Spanish conquistadors arrive in the 16th century, they find Maya peoples organized into smaller kingdoms and city-states. Still powerful, still sophisticated, though no longer building the massive monuments of the classic period. The Maya fiercely resist Spanish conquest. It takes longer to fully subdue. The Maya region, and almost any other part of the Americas, the last independent Maya kingdom in the Petén region of Guatemala, doesn't fall until 1697, over a century and a half after the conquest of the Aztec Empire. The Spanish bring devastation. Disease, smallpox, measles, typhus sweeps through indigenous populations that have no immunity, killing perhaps 90% of the population in some areas. Spanish priests, zealous to convert the pagans, burn the Maya books, destroying centuries of accumulated knowledge. Bishop Diego de Landa Perse oversees the burning of dozens of codices in a single bonfire in 1562, later writing that we found a large number of books, and as they contain nothing in which they were not to be seen, superstition and lies of the devil, we burn them all. Only 4 Maya codices survive to the present day. But the Spanish cannot erase the Maya completely. The language survives, actually, the languages survive, as Maya is not one language but a family of related languages. Today, over 6 million people speak Maya languages, making it one of the largest indigenous language groups in the Americas. The agricultural knowledge survives, with Maya farmers continuing to cultivate maize, beans, and squash-using techniques developed thousands of years ago. Many traditions survive, often syncretized with Catholicism, but retaining distinctly Maya elements. The great ruined cities, meanwhile, become legends. The jungle hides them so effectively that many are completely unknown to outsiders. Local Maya people know they're there. They sometimes use the ruins as shrines, places to make offerings to the ancient gods or to ancestors. But to the wider world, they're forgotten. Centuries pass. Tikal, Palenque, Copan names that once inspired awe or fear fade from memory. Then, in the 19th century, explorers began rediscovering the ruins. John Lloyd Stephens and Frederick Catherwood, traveling through Central America in the 1840s, publish accounts of magnificent ruined cities, complete with Catherwood's stunning illustrations. They capture the imagination of the world, here lost civilizations, ancient peoples who built great monuments and then vanished into the jungle. Archaeology begins initially little more than treasure hunting, gradually becoming more scientific. The hieroglyphic writing proves particularly challenging to decipher. For decades, scholars believe it's purely calendric and astronomical. recording dates and celestial events, but not language. Only gradually, through the 20th century, does the breakthrough come. Scholars realize that the glyphs represent a full writing system. Recording the Maya language, names can be read, historical events can be understood. The monuments begin to speak, telling stories of kings and wars, dynasties and conquests, rituals and beliefs. Today, we can read much of what the ancient Maya wrote. We know names of kings who died over 1,000 years ago. We can trace the genealogies of royal families. We know when certain buildings were dedicated, when wars were fought, when eclipses occurred. The Maya are no longer mysterious. They're historical, knowable, real people who left extensive written records of their civilization. Archaeological excavation has revealed astonishing details of Maya life. We know what they ate from analysis of food remains and isotopes in bones. We know what diseases they suffered from examination of skeletal remains. We can reconstruct the appearance of buildings through careful study of ruins and remaining traces of paint. Excavation of royal tombs has yielded treasures, jade masks, painted pottery, carved bones, beautiful works of art that rival anything produced by contemporary civilizations anywhere in the world. The Maya collapse itself has been intensively studied, with scholars proposing various explanations. Environmental degradation, climate change, warfare, social upheaval all played roles. The lesson seems to be that civilization is fragile, that even sophisticated societies can collapse when pushed beyond certain environmental and social limits. The Maya case study is used by modern scholars thinking about sustainability, climate change, and the long-term viability of our own civilization. But what about you, the person we've been following through these days in the ancient city? Your life left no written record. No monument records your name. No tomb preserves your body or your goods. You lived, worked, raised children perhaps, participated in rituals, experienced joy and suffering, and then died. Your individual existence leaving no trace beyond the memories of those who knew you. Yet, in another sense, you're still present. The genetic legacy of people like you continues. In the millions of Maya people alive today, the agricultural knowledge you used is still practiced. The language you spoke evolved into languages still spoken. The stories you heard around fires have descendants and stories still told. The beliefs you held, though transformed by centuries and by contact with other cultures, persist in modified form. You are part of an unbroken chain connecting the ancient past to the living present. The ruins themselves stand as testament to what you and millions like you built. Every stone in those pyramids was quarried, shaped, and moved by human hands. Every carved glyph was carefully created by a skilled artisan. Every building was constructed through collective labor. Communities working together to create something far greater than any individual could achieve. The ruins speak not just of kings and elites, but of the ordinary, people whose labor made the extraordinary achievements possible. Modern visitors to sites like Tikal or Palenque experience something profound, standing in the ancient plazas, climbing the pyramid steps, seeing the carved monuments. They connect across centuries to the people who created these places. The specific beliefs and political systems are gone, but the human capacity for art, architecture, mathematics, astronomy, and sophisticated social organization endures. The Maya at their height were as intelligent, creative, and capable as any people anywhere at any time. They created one of the great civilizations of human history. If you could somehow know that your city would be abandoned, your civilization would collapse, your monuments would be swallowed by jungle, would you do anything differently? Perhaps not. You lived in your time, did what made sense to you, fulfilled your obligations as you understood them, created what beauty you could, endured what hardships came, and found meaning in your existence. That's all any of us can do. The Maya experience offers profound lessons. It shows that civilization is not a steady march of progress, but a complex, fragile achievement that must be constantly maintained. It demonstrates that environmental limits are real, and that ignoring them brings consequences. It reveals that even sophisticated societies can collapse if they fail to address accumulating problems. But it also shows remarkable resilience. The Maya people survived the collapse of their great cities, adapted, continued, and persist to this day. As we stand in the ruins today, as sunlight filters through the jungle canopy onto ancient stones, as howler monkeys roar from pyramid tops, we can imagine you a person living in the city during its height, going about your daily life, participating in rituals, working in the fields or at your craft, raising your family, never imagining that this seemingly eternal civilization would one day be nothing but ruins in the jungle. But the ruins are not the end of a story. They're a chapter, a transformation, a demonstration that cultures change but don't entirely disappear. The Maya world you knew is gone, but something of it persists in blood, in language, in tradition, in memory, and in these magnificent monuments that still inspire all over 1,000 years after they were abandoned. What would you want us to know if you could speak to us across the centuries? Perhaps that you lived fully, loved deeply, created beauty, honored what you held sacred, and played your part in something larger than yourself. Perhaps that the civilization you helped build, for all its flaws and ultimate collapse, represented a remarkable human achievement. Perhaps simply that you existed, that you mattered, that you were real.